Karoline Leavitt had been making headlines as a bold and unapologetic political figure. When news broke that she would appear live on Jimmy Kimmel's show, the internet buzzed with speculation. What would she say? Would Kimmel challenge her views? Or would it be a light-hearted chat? Viewers braced for an unpredictable evening of television. As the show began, Kimmel greeted his audience with his signature smirk. He cracked a few jokes, easing into the atmosphere. The crowd cheered, anticipating the night's interview, but underneath the humor, there was tension. This wasn't just another guest, this was a political firebrand coming into the lion's den. Karoline walked out confidently, smiling but focused. She wore a sleek, navy blue suit, a subtle nod to her polished but no-nonsense persona. As she shook Kimmel's hand, there was a noticeable stiffness. The crowd clapped, but the mood had shifted. Something big was coming, and everyone could sense it. Kimmel started with a few light questions about her background and upbringing. Karoline answered politely, even laughing at some of his comments. But then, his tone changed. He asked, "So, Karoline, you've said some pretty controversial things. Do you ever regret any of them?" The air in the room went still. Karoline leaned forward. "Jimmy," she said, "I don't regret standing up for what I believe, and I think people are tired of being told what's acceptable to say." The audience murmured. Kimmel raised an eyebrow. "But don't you think some of your comments cross a line?" he pressed. Without flinching, Karoline replied, "That's the problem, Jimmy. The line keeps moving. One day it's free speech, the next it's hate speech. Who gets to decide?" The studio was silent. Even Kimmel seemed briefly stunned. He tried to regroup, but Karoline wasn't done. She turned to the camera. "Americans want authenticity, not scripted responses and media spin. We're not robots. We disagree. That's what makes this country great." Applause broke out, and not from everyone, but loud enough to be noticed. Karoline had come prepared for this moment. Kimmel tried to steer the conversation toward a recent controversy, pulling up one of her tweets on screen. "Can you explain this one?" he asked, half laughing. Karoline read it out loud, owning every word. "Yes, I stand by it. I believe in border security and strong leadership." "Is that controversial now?" The crowd shifted again. Some booed, others clapped. Kimmel looked surprised by the split reaction. "You don't think that language alienates people?" he asked. Karoline shook her head. "Truth isn't always comfortable, but hiding from it doesn't help anyone." She then turned the tables. "Jimmy, can I ask you something?" The host chuckled awkwardly. "This is my show, but sure. Go ahead." Karoline leaned in. "Why do late-night hosts think it's their job to mock people with different beliefs? When did comedy become propaganda?" The audience gasped. Kimmel blinked, caught off guard. "We make fun of everyone," he said defensively. "Do you?" Karoline shot back. "Because it seems like only one side gets the full treatment. Maybe comedy should punch up, not down at average Americans." The crowd murmured again. Kimmel tried to lighten the mood with a joke, but it fell flat. Karoline wasn't laughing. "I'm here because I want people to see that young conservatives aren't monsters. We're passionate, we care, and we're not going away." As the segment went on, Kimmel appeared to recalibrate. He started asking more thoughtful questions, genuinely trying to understand her viewpoint. Karoline answered each one with precision. It wasn't just a clash, it was an exchange, and people were glued to their screens. Then came a surprise, a live question from the audience. A young woman stood up and asked, "Karoline, what gives you hope for the future?" For the first time that night, Karoline softened. "You," she said. "People asking real questions. People listening. That gives me hope." The room warmed slightly. Even Kimmel nodded. It wasn't a debate anymore, it was a moment. A rare one. Karoline continued, "We're so divided, but if we keep having honest conversations like this, maybe we'll remember we're all Americans first." The crowd clapped. Loud this time. No boos. No heckles. Just applause. Kimmel looked at Karoline and said, "I didn't expect this conversation tonight, but I'm glad we had it." Karoline smiled. "Me too. It's about time we talked like people, not just party lines." After the segment, social media exploded. Clips of the interview were everywhere. People debated, praised, criticized. But one thing was clear: Karoline had made an impact. She didn't play defense, she didn't pander, she stood her ground with clarity and grace. Even critics admitted she held her own. Some said she changed their perspective. Others were just stunned that a late-night show had produced such an electric moment. Commentators across platforms weighed in. The episode became the most viewed of the season. In the green room, Karoline took a deep breath. She knew this moment would follow her for years, but she felt good, not because she won an argument, but because she showed people another side of her, a human one. She wasn't just a headline anymore. Later that night, Kimmel tweeted, "Agree or disagree? Karoline Leavitt brought it tonight. Respect." The tweet went viral. Karoline responded with a simple, "Thanks for the invite." That brief exchange signaled something rare: mutual respect in a polarized world. The following morning, news outlets from every corner covered the event. Headlines screamed about the confrontation, but the tone was surprisingly balanced. Some called it a turning point for Karoline's national visibility. Others said Kimmel looked more thoughtful than ever. Political analysts dissected every moment: her composure, her message, her refusal to back down. It all contributed to what they called a masterclass in live confrontation. Not shouting, not rage, just bold conviction wrapped in calm delivery. By week's end, Karoline's campaign donations had surged. People across the spectrum were reaching out, whether to challenge her or support her. They wanted to talk. That was the biggest surprise. Dialogue had reopened. The walls, even slightly, had cracked. In interviews after the show, Karoline remained consistent. "I didn't go there to fight. I went to be heard, and I hope others feel they can do the same." She encouraged young people to speak up, even if their views weren't popular in certain circles. Jimmy Kimmel, in his next monologue, even joked, "Well, I survived the Leavitt visit and I might just be a little smarter for it." The audience laughed, but this time it felt lighter, less targeted. Something had changed, even if just a little. It was a live confrontation, but it wasn't chaos. It was clarity. And for once, the headlines didn't just stun, they inspired.